welcome remarks, and then we'll have the presentation from Dr. Aiden, and then we'll have the Q&A, then the feedback, strict research uptake, and then we'll have the summary and the next steps. So in no particular order, would want to have a quick introduction to know who is on the call. So I would mention the name as I see it here, and once you introduce yourself, your name, which institution you're coming from, and what you hope to learn from this. And once you're done, you mention the name as you see in the participants list. So I would want to call on Prince Jackson Bade, Junior. If you could please introduce yourself, and once you're done, you mention name that you see on the call. Thank you.
Good morning. As I said, my name is Prince Jackson Bade. I'm from Region University College of Science and Technology. And when I saw your advert, I registered because I saw it as an opportunity to have a new knowledge, especially in my community. We use eggs a lot and snails. So if I can have a new knowledge of recycling these egg cells, it helps me cleanse my community and also help my community.
Okay, great. So Mohammed Lamin, CC, if you could kindly introduce yourself.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon from Zimbabwe, because that's where I am. I am an alumni of KNUST. That's where I did my master's in intellectual property in 2022. And I'm currently at the African Regional Intellectual Property Organization in Harare, Zimbabwe. The reason why I decided to join is because in the Gambia, where I'm from, we also consume a lot of eggs. And poultry feeds are quite expensive. We normally get it from our neighboring country, which is Senegal. And a lot of businesses or farmers in poultry suffer a lot on that aspect. So I want to learn from this and then see how best to put it into practice, come up with something, and then share that knowledge and product with the farmers there. So it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So Felix Ansah, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hello. Good morning. I'm Felix Ansah with the GRIC Center under Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. For me, I want to see, new practices and how it would, how sustainable it is, and as well use this information to inform policy. Thank you.
All right, we're excited about that. And Kwabena Edu Jemfi, if you could please introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Kwabena Edu Jemfi, Marketing and PR Manager of the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana. I'm on this program because I want to learn things about the egg industry. Although some of our members are importers of and also have poultry farms, I want to have new ideas about what is going on in the industry to communicate to them. So that is the reason why I'm here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And Kenneth Owusu. Kenneth.
Hello, good morning. So I am Kenneth Owusu, currently a master's student at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And the main reason for joining this section is actually because of the novelty of the topic. I think the topic is quite new, using snail and eggshell for as calcium, means of obtaining calcium in poultry diets. So I found the need to be here to also gain new knowledge and also to apply it in a time to come. That's why I joined this section. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And then Benedict, if you do, if you could please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Ifeanyi Benedict Jojo, a research assistant at the Chemical Engineering Department, and I joined this session to be informed of how best we could utilize, let's say, food residues in a way to boost up our agriculture. And also, since I'm more chemically inclined, I'm looking for ways in which we could bring this idea up to implement it in scaling up maybe a plant design in order to produce it at a larger scale, which would help in farming and also feeding poultry and everything, and in a way to make things sustainable in that way. So that's why I basically joined this session today. I'm grateful to be here this morning. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And I think that's it for those on the call. As the others join, we will ask them to introduce themselves. I have deliberately stayed down for Dr. Aidan. I think he will do a better presentation by himself. And so I would want to use this opportunity to say thank you very much for honoring this invitation. My name is Julius Lamte, and I work as a Senior Research and Policy Officer, and I'm also the Secretariat Lead for the Ghana Research and Industry Collaborative. The goal of this session is to explore in innovative ways that we could create visibility for the various research outputs and innovations that are being churned at our various universities and applied research institutions. And so we started this initiative last year based on the initial work that we started, one which entailed finding relevant research work, translating them into practical, actionable insights such that businesses, policymakers, and other relevant stakeholders could glean insight from it, and then from there they could take that initiative. But having done that, we realized that it's not enough to have these translations and then they sit there. And so how do we create those spaces where we engage the lead presenter, and then we also identify relevant stakeholders that would benefit from this innovation. So on this call, you would have a diverse background of stakeholders who would want to see the benefits and then would want to uptake. Now, having done that, done this, we've had 4 industry brief sessions, and out of these 4 sessions, we've been able to have 61 expressions of interest, and that has informed the next phase of the activity that we're doing. So with this, we use the design thinking approach to see what works within the Ghanaian context, and once we've been able to come up with the learning, then we move into the implementation, but also having at the back of mind that it's not a complete or perfect state, and so we would have to learn and unlearn. And so with this, where we are going is to have a specialized service where we are providing the needed support for researchers that have gone through the industry brief sessions to be able to work with potential uptakers and to facilitate this potential commercialization. And if they are coming from your universities, we'll be able to facilitate those engagement. And so with the Dr. Aiden on the call, we engaged the Office of Grants and Research from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, seeking their permission to share this insight with us. So at the Ghana Research and Industry Collaborative, we are open to working with researchers, open to working with policymakers, development partners, investors, to be able to identify relevant research work that could lead to informed decision making, which would include your business profitability, which would also include social and economic impacts. And to end it, the Ghana Research and Industry Collaborative is hosted by Impact Investing Ghana. It is a non-profit field building organization that seeks to champion impact investing in Ghana. Impact investing basically is any form of investment that is not solely focused on financial returns, but also takes into account the economic, the social and environmental impact. So as we work to unlock the catalytic capital for businesses, we identify gaps in the system, and then we work with stakeholders to address these gaps. And so the Ghana Research and Industry Collaborative is as a result of the gap that we identified, that businesses are unable to get the needed data insights or innovations to help them take informed decisions. And so we are using this as an opportunity to have relevant research outputs in a practical format or industry-friendly format, and then also provide pipeline of innovations for businesses to stay relevant in this competitive world that we find ourselves in. So on that note, I want to thank you very much for joining us, and we hope that we would have an exciting session. Thank you very much. And then on that note, I humbly call on Dr. Frank Aidan to briefly introduce himself, and then he takes over the presentation from here. So Dr. Aidan, please, over to you.
All right. Good morning to everyone who is participating in this brief. My name is Frank Aidan, originally from the Central Region of Ghana. I attended my basic school in Amosma, and then I went to Agri Memorial where I did agriculture, and then from there I went to University of Cape Coast, where I graduated with the honors in BSc Agric, had my master's, that is a Master of Philosophy in Animal Science from University of Ghana, majoring in animal nutrition. Then I proceeded to the Kansas State University in the United States of America, where I had my PhD in grain science, focusing on feed processing and technology. And afterwards, I've been with K University since 2020, where I am a lecturer of animal nutrition and feed science. I've been handling a lot of courses over here, but because it's a research brief, I'll just focus on the research that I'm doing. So my background is on feed processing, so I try as much as possible to find ingenious ways of creating feed that will be of good quality, but the cost implications will be lower than the conventional feed stuff. So I've been working closely with alternative feed ingredients, and now focusing on recycling agricultural waste with the vision of reducing costs as well as improving environmental sustainability. So there are so many things that is going on here, but because we are not too visible, people are not appreciating whatever we are doing in this part of the country. So today I am here to give a short presentation on how we can recycle eggshells and snail shells to reduce the cost of feed and then improve environmental sustainability. So I'll give a brief background to the program, or the title that I'm going to work on, then the reason for that research, and then how we gathered the data, and then significant discoveries that we made will be shared with the industry and all stakeholders. So that's what will be happening in the next few minutes. So, as I said, poultry farming is one of the major activities that occur in any economy. So in Ghana, it has been one of the backbone of many rural communities where individuals have kept some few chicken in their backyard and then falling on these chicken when there was a need to generate some quick money or to provide protein for the family. So in terms of food security, poultry farming has played a major role and also involved in reducing poverty as well as meet the protein needs of individuals within any country. Because of the fact that the poultry meat is quite healthy compared to the red meat, worldwide, its consumption is more than any other meat. So it acts as mostly financial buffer to farmers and then can easily be converted to cash when the need arises. In Ghana, the agric industry is not too functional. It's just contributing about 6.2% of the poultry sector is not too developed and it contributes only about 6.2% of the agricultural GDP. Compared to crops where much attention has been focused because of the economic nature of most cash crops like cocoa, cashew, and the rest. In the animal sector, there hasn't been any deliberate effort to help improve the sector. So for now, it contributes only about 6.2% of the agric GDP. Even though it contributes not so much, it has provided a lot of employment and generated a lot of income for those who are engaged in such activities. So per capita consumption of products, if we look at eggs, on average, every Ghanaian is consuming about 235 eggs per year, which is quite impressive. But on the meat size, it's quite low compared to other countries, which are far more higher. So we are doing about 13 kilograms of meat per person per year. But in terms of eggs, we could see that's almost 1 egg per day for individuals. So you could see that increasing poultry production will be a very key way of increasing the protein needs of individuals. And then that will help us to reduce the reliance on imports, which is crippling our economy. So the poultry industry in Ghana is faced with many challenges, with feed being the most significant. But in terms of its sustainability, we are looking at most farmers engaging in layer production or egg production compared to broiler production. The reason is that there is a lot of competition from imported chicken, which are quite cheaper compared to what we generate in Ghana here. Now for the eggs, as of now, we supply mostly all our egg needs. So those who import eggs are mostly for hatching. So we have some hatcheries who import fertilized eggs and then hatch them and then distribute to farmers for use. But in terms of production of eggs for consumption, the industry is able to support the needs of consumers. But one major challenge that is faced by the industry is the feed cost, which account for about 70 to 80% of the total variable cost of production. So after your fixed assets, which include your structures, the most expensive part of the business is cost of feed. So any intervention that will result in what reducing feed costs will be very important in increasing the profitability of farmers. So this research was a baseline research. So we wanted to find out if farmers within the Western region, some selected the in Western region, were aware of the potential use of eggshells or snail shells in producing poultry feed. And the reason is that we realized that most of the production of poultry going on in Ghana here have shifted to layer production because of the fact that there's much more market on the layer production. And you know, in layer production, calcium is one of the most important ingredients or nutrients which help to improve eggshell structure and then eggshell formation. So the objectives of this research were, one, to assess the farmers' awareness of using eggshells and or snail shells as calcium source in poultry feed. And two, to evaluate farmers' perception of effectiveness and benefits of eggshells and or snail shells in poultry feed, as well as determine farmers' willingness to adopt eggshells and or snail shells as calcium sources in poultry feed. But before we set out these objectives, we had already conducted a test, a preliminary test to look at the chemical composition of this. We have already conducted a preliminary test to check the chemical composition of eggshell, and then it came out that it's quite closer in terms to the other calcium sources that are available on the market. So the study focused on the western region of Ghana, some selected districts. Now, when you take western region, the economic over there is quite diverse and then dynamic. And mostly it's agriculture and industry that drive the economic growth of that area. The employment over there is mostly private, formal, and then public sector. So the poultry industry in Western region like Ghana, as indicated earlier on, is mostly for layer production because of the fact that trade liberalization has resulted in very cheap broiler meat coming into the market, which the local farmers cannot compete. So if you are a local farmer who engages in broiler production, you sometimes going to have issues with marketing because of the fact that the prices are always a little higher compared to those that have been imported. So we try to find out ways by which farmers can benefit from utilizing waste products, which can help to reduce their cost of production. So if we look at the surveyed area where the research was conducted, we realized that about 10% of them formulate their own feed, whereas about 59.5% obtain their feed from commercial feed producers, and about 30.4% do produce their own feed as well as rely on commercial feed. So here it tells you that any innovation that will be generated over here can be both beneficial to the farmers who do on-farm production of feed as well as commercial feed mills. So compared to the national average, the people who rely mostly on commercial feed in the country are only 25%, with about 69% formulating their own feed on their farms. And the reason is that majority of those who are engaged in poultry production are small-scale farmers who cannot find enough capital to purchase commercial feed, which they term as what expensive, and also they sometimes cannot trust the consistency and quality of the feed over a period of time. So they are much more comfortable formulating their own feed. And the same is also for the large commercial farms, which most of them have their own mills at their farm, and they produce their own feed to supply to their birds. So calcium is one of the most important nutrients in any laying enterprise or layer enterprise, because they are needed for a variety of or several factors, okay? And these include eggshell formation, bone health, and then metabolic function. All these are very crucial to the layers, because without calcium, most eggs that are going to be produced are going to be soft, and they cannot stand the test of time when they are to be stored or even moved just from the laying house to storage facilities. In Ghana, the major source of calcium for poultry feed are oyster shells and then limestone, with oyster shell taking about 80% of the total market for egg production or meat production. So on the screen, you could see eggshells and then snail shells. These are byproducts of some of the agricultural activity that are done in the country. You know, most people, after taking the eggs, throw the shells away, same with snails. And then also with hatchery, as at now, there are known hatchery which is recycling eggshells as product for poultry or other animal use. So they are abundant, and then they are readily available. And once we are able to make use of them, we could reduce environmental pollution and then create businesses for young individuals to benefit from. Now, there has been studies that have been conducted by several scientists outside Ghana. And in Ghana here, people use eggshells, snail shells, and then eggshells are not commonly used. But farmers mostly will prefer to use oyster shell because that is what is readily available on the market, and that is what they know. But eggshells and snail shells can be a viable alternatives. And these alternatives are cost effective because they can come with little or no cost to the farmer. And apart from the fact that they are cost effective, they also contain some additional minerals which can reduce the reliance of synthetic minerals supply in poultry feed. So comparing the various calcium sources, you could see that eggshells, snail shells matches with oyster shells and then limestones. And apart from that, they rather supply more phosphorus, potassium, and sodium compared to oyster shells and limestone. So it means that these are very important sources of minerals for the birds, and they can be harnessed to improve or increase productivity of the birds. So there have been studies that have been conducted on eggs and snail shells. But these studies were conducted outside the country. And when eggshells were included in the diet of broilers, there was improvement in weight gain as well as feed conversion ratios. And also, there was increase in the thickness of the shell by 6%. So it means that when you use eggshells, you are likely to have much more thicker shells, which are good for increasing the shelf life of eggs. And then in terms of snail shells, they have been observed to improve broiler growth and then bone strength. And then these research information suggests that eggshells and snail shells can be used as viable alternatives in poultry production. So the gap that this research wanted to bridge was to focus on cost reduction, because we realized that most of the farmers complain a lot when it comes to feed costs. And then for layers, because the focus is on egg production, the need to increase calcium levels within the diet is very high. And then we need to try as much as possible to lower other ingredient costs, because of the fact that maize and soybean meal have always been high. So if other sources of ingredients can be reduced in terms of cost or nothing to the farmers, then some amount of space in terms of capital can be channeled in gathering other ingredients. So it is important to note that using locally and affordable materials can help to reduce these expenses in terms of cost of feed, which will in turn improve profitability. So you know that your cost of production will affect the costs of the product that you are selling to the market. So if you use expensive products and then the actual market prices of products are lower than what you are producing, you, the farmer, cannot say that because I am producing at a higher cost, I want to sell my product at a premium cost, which can cause you to lose a lot of customers, and that can affect your profitability. So in this case, eggs and snail shells, which come at maybe little or no cost, can be said to be potential cost-effective alternatives for poultry feed. So the study that was conducted provided evidence supporting the fact that these materials can be used to reduce costs to at least 20% by farmers. So in terms of what they do, the summary of the research shows that eggshells and snail shells offer cheaper sources of calcium compared to the traditional sources. But in terms of the awareness, about 79% already of farmers are aware that eggshells can be used, whereas 62% of them said they are aware that snail shells can be used. But as to how to process and use them, that is where the problem was. So they indicated that they could adopt these alternatives in order to reduce their cost of production. So the main focus of this research is about cost reduction. And in cost reduction, we are looking at reducing how much farmers spend on feed. So any available resources that can be harnessed to reduce the cost of feed is what we are trying to work on. So once we are able to reduce the feed costs, then we make poultry farming more competitive, because they can now compete with imported products. And then if you take this alternative that we are talking about, they are rich in calcium. So they can support eggshell formation, bone strength, and overall productivity of the poultry. And then the sustainability is the fact that these are products that are usually thrown away. And then once they are thrown away, they create a nuisance and then create environmental pollution. So these materials can be recycled to reduce their potential environmental impact as well as support the circular economy. So here we can have individuals or young people who can go into the collection of these products and selling them at the price to industries who will be willing to convert these products into additives for farmers to use. So on the local economy, we are trying to reduce the reliance of imported products whilst we make use of what is already available in the country. And this way, it will reduce the amount of forex that we spend in getting ingredients into the country, which in the long run can benefit the country as a whole by means of foreign exchange. Because if we are able to improve poultry production, it means the amount of money that we are spending in importing poultry and poultry products will reduce, and then that money can stay in the country for our currency to be strengthened. But there are challenges that farmers express concern about. And then one of them is the processing requirements. They wanted to find out how well these products can be processed so that they don't have any diseases which can affect the profitability of their industry. So for this product to be properly utilized, there's a need for proper cleaning to be done, drying, and then grinding to the right particle size to ensure their safety and then digestibility. And then also because the calcium from these sources might vary. For example, if the eggs are coming from cooked eggs, it has already undergone some form of heating and boiling. And then if it's coming from the hatchery or other restaurants where they just make use of fresh eggs. So there's a need to be able to determine whether there are variations in the calcium content coming from the various sources. And then if this is established, then we can have consistency in terms of their calcium content for farmers to be very confident in their usage. And then there is also some limitations in terms of supply, since we do not have specific industries which have been created to deal with the supply of these products. There may be a point where getting these products in large quantities may be a problem. So if production of these materials into various calcium sources are to be determined, then there's a need for us to create a value chain where we can get direct source of these products into the processing plants for production. And then how acceptable will this product be for farmers? And you know how our local farmers are, majority of them are very, very difficult when it comes to change. They know that this is how we do it. This is the formula we use. So once you propose any new thing, it is always very difficult for them to accept. So in this case, there's supposed to be a lot of education on the benefit of these products and how it can help them to cut down their cost of production. So the opportunities are very enormous, and one of them is cost savings. Because once we are able to properly utilize this byproduct, we can reduce cost of production, And then both poultry farmers and commercial feed operators can also use this supplement to reduce their cost of production, which will translate in the overall cost of producing poultry in the country. And then on terms of sustainability, this, when properly used, will promote waste recycling, and that will minimize environmental pollution. So there can be a lot of individuals that can be involved in the value chain, where you can have smaller industries created along the chain for a lot of employment to be generated. And once this employment is generated, then the impact in terms of environmental pollution that these shells can potentially cause will be minimized. And because these products also have other minerals apart from calcium, they can help in stronger eggshells and then bone development. So where the opportunity lies now is for local industries to embrace this technology or innovation, where we can create some smaller equipment that can easily be used to process these products and then made available to the farmers. So those in the engineering industries can come in with very simple tools that can easily be used to convert these products into a form that can be used by farmers. So the potential uptake of this, or the practical application of this, then, is that farmers can use these crushed egg shells or snail shells to reduce their cost of production. And this will help to decrease the dependence of expensive limestone and then oyster shells, which are contributing factor to the cost of feed. And then those who are already in feed manufacturing can convert these products into additives or calcium additives that can be used by various types of animals, including poultry. And then also there's going to be improvement in environmental sustainability, since there will be recycling of this waste, making sure that nothing of this is left in the open, which, for example, if we take the snail shells, which can gather some amount of water during the rainy season and then can result in mosquito breeding, which can affect individuals living in communities with high snails usage. So there are some key recommendations that we sought to provide in order for this to be properly utilized. One of these major recommendations was the processing procedures. Here, we are recommending that before these shells are used, they are thoroughly cleaned, dried before they are ground to the required particle size, to ensure that they are safe for the animals, and then their digestibility will improve. Because if you don't grind it to a form that can be consumed by the birds, they might be found in the feed, but the birds will pick other materials and leave them. Then also, we recommending the determination of the appropriate quantities that can be used for improving poultry performance, as well as reducing cost of feed. Normally, in egg-laying animals, we recommend 4% calcium in their production if they are to go by the use of egg cells. So if 4% of your feed cost is coming at no or very little cost, then imagine if you have 1 million birds, then you are saving 4% of feed costs on every cycle. That is a lot of savings that farmers are going to have. Then also, we intend to do more education on this so that we can ensure that both feed producers and farmers get the best benefit of using these products. And then the establishment of a supply chain where we can have right from collection to processing to distribution will be made in a consistent manner so that when farmers finally agree that is a good product to use, they wouldn't be like most of the things that happen. One day you go to the market, you get it, and then when you need it the most, you are unable to find these products. So in terms of business case for using egg and snail shells in poultry feed, the most important thing is cost reduction and profitability, because if we use these products, we are bound to reduce the cost of feed. And then also sustainability and waste management, because once these products are not left to the open and then they are recycled, environmental pollution will be reduced. And then there is also a potential for the creation of specific industries which can collect, process, and supply these materials to farmers at reasonable prices compared to what is already on the market. And once this is done, then there will be reduction on the reliance of imported additives. And this will go a long way to increase poultry production and reduce the over-reliance on imported products. Can I see the next slide? All right, thank you very much. So, as I said, this is a preliminary study that we conducted. Now, what is needed now is for us as scientists to try this product and then compare it with conventional calcium sources and come out with findings that will be localized, because there have been findings from other sources, but for our local industry, I think there is little or no information, which we intend to work on to promote the use of locally available materials to reduce cost of production. So if stakeholders are around interested, we can collaborate to maybe create or develop a business plan on how these products can be integrated into the poultry industry. So right from collection of eggshells and snail shells to cleaning to processing will be done. And then if there are some technical support that stakeholders will need, we are available to provide guidance in terms of the proper processing methods and then optimum inclusion levels. And then the quality assurance procedures or programs that can be conducted to ensure that this is going to be a safe raw material for farmers to use. So currently, there is supposed to be some pilot testing, which we are trying to see if we can get some funds to be able to conduct a research on this and then try to come out with how effective these products are and how digestible and whether they have any impact on the health of poultry. And then also the quality control aspects. And here we are looking at making sure that all the calcium content of these products are consistent throughout their usage so that we wouldn't have fluctuation in terms of how their quality is. And then if there is the need for long-term support, I'm available to offer continuous consultation, and any updates that may come as a result of our research, we are available to share with the general public. So this is what I have for you today.
All right.
So in the nutshell, we are just looking at using these alternatives as a cost-effective and sustainable way of producing poultry. And then we have found that there are a lot of opportunities that feed manufacturers, those who are entrepreneurs, can look out for, and especially policymakers, now that we are trying to improve the poultry industry. Anything that the stakeholders need, we are available to support them to make the industry more sustainable and reduce the importation of products to the country. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Fred Aidan, for the excellent presentation. He has captured critical sections, which would include the industry relevance, the challenges, the opportunities, the business case, and the key recommendations. So this part we have 20, I think 15 minutes for the Q&A. And so in order not for us to speak over one another, please you kindly show by hand in the chat, or you raise your hand, and then we can take the round of questions. And so if you have any question, please you could raise your hand and then we'll call you. So whilst we wait, I'll start with mine. Dr. Aidan, you made mention that the eggshells and then the snail shells are alternative sources of calcium. So I have a major question and then a minor question. Let me start with a minor.
Okay.
In terms with the local layers that we have, or the hen, if you compare their eggshells relative to the foreign breeds, can you say that in terms of composition of calcium, the local eggs that are produced here or from the local hens are richer in nutritional quantity or quality? And then the next major question is, if someone is to go into this business, how much of calcium can he or she get, or how much of eggshells and snail shells must the person be able to get in large quantities in order to produce this feed? Okay. And
Okay,
then
so right.
maybe we may take a round of questions. I see Kenneth hand is raised, and so maybe you take mine and then Kent's one. So Ken, kindly ask a question.
All right.
Okay,
So
thank
in
you.
terms of the calcium and other minerals.
Dr. Aidan, sorry, Kenneth would ask, and then you take the two questions. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, sure. Ken, please.
Okay, thank you. So my question has to do with the processing, especially the eggshell. You see, they are coming from other birds, and we know mostly our system of production has a lot of issues with biosecurity and stuff. So I'm asking the best way to process these eggshells so that at the end of the day we don't end up transferring disease or pathogen from one farmer to another farmer's farm or something. Thank you.
Can I
Okay.
take them all?
Yes, please, Dr. Adam, please answer.
All right. So in terms of the composition, the local eggs that we produce here, their shells are very high, rich in what? In calcium carbonate, which is the main thing that is needed. And then in terms of calcium, it is quite high, up to 40%. So the concentration of calcium in these shells are okay. But the challenge here is the question that the other guy asked, is the quality aspect of the processing. Okay, because the shells are generated from different sources. So you can look at restaurants, you can look at hatcheries, you can look at individualized places like those who sell eggs on the roadside. Okay, so if we are able to identify the sources that can give us enough of these shells, then we will devise a means of collection, and then means of cleaning, and then means of what? Processing. So that once the egg shells have been separated from other waste, then they can easily be washed, dried, and then crushed into sizes that can easily be. So for example, if you take maybe a sack of eggshells, you may be able to get at least 20 kilogram of what of eggshell meal, which is quite good, because this 20 kg can be used. If we use 4% of this in a ton of feed, it's quite impressive, because it's going to reduce the cost of production. So the whole idea now is how we are going to identify where we can get adequate supplies, which I am thinking that if we want to move forward with this idea, then we have to start targeting the local hatcheries where we can have a lot of eggshells, and then we start from there. So once this innovation is accepted, then other small businesses which also deal with eggs will then be bring on board, so that collection and distribution point can be set up to be able to get these products in a form that will reduce contamination as much as possible. So in terms of moving pathogens from one farm to the other, because of the fact that these are normally these eggshells are normally not generated directly from the poultry farm, but from more or less processing points, there is always not going to be too much of a risk when it comes to disease transmission.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Aiden. We want to take the second round of questions. And so if you have any question, you can raise your hand. Okay, so there's a question in the chat asking that, is it possible the presentation slides could be shared as a person has networking? And so with the permission, so this will be done with the permission of Dr. Aiden if he wants to share the presentation slides.
You can share with them.
Okay, all right. All right, so then we can take it up from there. Okay, sure. Okay. Any round of questions? This may be Eugenia, please, are you trying to speak? Okay, all right. We had a rep from the GRIC Center, and then you indicated you wanted to know what this is about, and then in terms of government policy. So maybe on this call, if you could briefly share with us what the GRIC Center does, and then how, in what way you could be of support to this initiative, given the benefit for local utilization, also for sustainability, improved poultry health, and also cost savings. Is he on the call? Is the name answer?
Is it directed to me?
No, it's directed to the rep from the GRIC Center, the Ghana Innovation and Research Center, which is hosted by the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. All right. So then, in the absence of further questions, Dr. Aidan, we want to thank you very much for this excellent presentation. The work will not stop here. We'll continue to reach out to the Poultry Farmers Association that we earlier engaged, for them to see how best to tap into this insight, and then also get the appropriate policy to come and support this initiative. So having said that, we would want to move to the next phase of the this session, and I'll call on Jemima to take over from here.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you once again for joining. So we would have a feedback session. Please, I've shared the link in the chat box. We would like if you could all take 5 minutes to complete the form for us. It will enable us to enhance the subsequent sessions that we would have. So kindly take this few minutes to complete it. I'll be checking. There are just 20 of us on the call, so if we could just get the 20 people completing it, then that would be great for us.
Junction.
So please, I'm checking. They're just questions on how the experience was and what you think we can do better. So I'm checking. We have no responses yet. Okay, I can see some of the responses. Please kindly complete it. We have 2 now. So we are now 22. So we are waiting for 20 more responses. Please, we are still waiting. We would have to end the session at 11:30. So we just want to make sure we get the responses before we end the call. Also, please, we would be following up on the use of the knowledge that was shared today. So if you don't complete the form, we are not going to know who is interested in going into this production or enhancing their feed. So kindly complete the form so that we know the people and then follow up on that engagement to facilitate the consultation process with the researcher. So please, we still are waiting for the responses. We have only 9 at the moment. So thank you all for completing the form. Please use, if you still haven't completed the form, we would really want you to complete it. There are still 19 of us on the call and we still have only 11 responses. So please, we would encourage you to complete it.
Can I go off?
No, please.
Okay, all right. Then give me 5 minutes to do something quick. I'll join soon in 5 minutes.
Okay, so it's 11:20. We will be closing soon. So please, I would still encourage you that if you haven't completed the form, kindly do that for us. And I want to say thank you to everyone who joined. As I said earlier, we need you to complete the forms because we'll be following up on your interest in uptaking this research. So kindly do complete the form. Also, we have our website, the GRIC Ghana website, where you can sign up. If you're a researcher, an industry person, you can sign up, and this is where you can access the research, translated summaries of the research that Julius mentioned earlier. If you missed that part, we help researchers to translate their research into an industry-friendly format. So it's a website that is open to everybody, based on whatever field or research need that you're trying to address. You could go on the website and then you can access that kind of research from there. So this research currently is uploaded on the platform. You can find it there. So kindly do sign up on greatghana.org, create your account, and then use the website. Also, you can follow us on LinkedIn at the Ghana Research and Industry Collaborative. That is where you find updates on everything we are doing. We have learning workshops that we usually organize for researchers, for industry stakeholders, just to address the needs that we've seen in the research and industry ecosystem. So you could follow us on the Ghana Research and Industry Collaborative on LinkedIn and also on Twitter. You find every details about our industry brief sessions. We do it monthly and it cuts across various sectors. So depending on the research that we share for the industry brief session, you can join that as well. Monthly, usually the last Tuesdays of every month. So please keep updated with us on our LinkedIn platform. And also, please, if you're a researcher here, or you know any researcher who is interested in presenting their research to an audience like this, and we want to facilitate research uptake and commercialization, possible commercialization of their research, kindly tell them to reach out to us via LinkedIn, or they could send a message, an email to Julius Lamptey. So Julius.Lamptey, I'm going to type it in the comments, the chat box, at impactinvestinggh.org. we also have a form for that. So when you reach out, we share the form with you to fill, and then we could engage you for the industry brief session as well.
What was that?
Please, does anyone have any question concerning the things I've said so far? If there are any questions, I'm open to answering. Okay, so please, we'd like to say a very big thank you for joining the session. We'll be following up, as I said earlier, so kindly look out for your emails. And thank you for joining the session. Please do have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll meet next month at our industry brief session.
Bye.
Bye.
Am I supposed to be on?
Oh, no, please, you can drop off. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
We are doing exams, so I'm quite hot.
Okay,
So,
sure. We'll
thank
get
you.
in touch with you after.
All right,
Thank you.
sure. All the best.
You too. Bye.